episode 57.
Welcome, guys.
So we were talking about streaming services before the podcast. And, well, what are your thoughts on them mainly? I guess audio and video. Netflix, Spotify, Pandora, SiriusXM, Hulu.
Well, we were talking about audio ones, so you were trying to get me to, which I'm going to.
That's good because I have more thoughts on the video ones.
Yeah, perfect. So you were trying to just encourage me to get on the Pandora app. Said it's very good, so I'm going to try it. But the same issue that I have with audio streaming apps, like including, let's say, like Apple Music. I don't have an iPhone, but including that, and also including video, so Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. If you separate all that content and just make it harder for me, if I have to switch apps to listen to this person and then switch to another app to listen to that person, that's going to frustrate the fuck out of me, especially if I'm like driving. Because if I can have, like, let's say everything I want and like a nice playlist on one app, it's a lot easier to just switch from playlist to playlist than switch to a whole fucking app. This is dangerous.
Playlists are big, but music discovery is also big for me. And I've never tried Apple Music, but I find Pandora's is really good for finding new things I actually like. Because they have Discover Weekly on Spotify or YouTube recommendations.
I use it all the time. Yeah.
But occasionally there's a few gems in there. But Pandora, I actively find people where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna save that whole CD.
See, one of the things that I would routinely do with the Discover feature on Spotify is I still do. I find a whole bunch of new songs that I like from a ton of genres. I'll save them, and I say that I'm going to go back and listen to the full albums. And I feel like every time I try, like, I'll try to go to the album, and it's usually like a one-off song,
You just don't really like the rest of it?
I either don't like the rest of the album.
But you got to try.
Oh, yeah, because I have found a ton of, like, whole albums that I'm like, fuck, this was such a good idea to get into them. But like the Antlers, for example, like that was a discovery like way back in the day. Except that was from like YouTube, I think. But point still stands. You find a random song on any of these streaming services, and if you can go deeper into it, there's a good chance that you will like what you find out there.
Yeah. Sorry for all the noise. I'm drinking a tea. I'm not trying to get out you guys with the hypnotist, motions with the.
You're like
the
a
spoon.
fucking Pokemon.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
What movie?
Get Out.
Is that with the person who goes into like like that black weird nether realm?
Yeah, the Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, remember how she hypnotizes him with a tea?
Oh yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, she spins the spoon around and makes that scraping sound, and he falls backwards in the chair.
Have you seen the his new movie? What is it called?
Is it You?
Or Us?
Us.
Yeah.
You's the Netflix show. I haven't seen that one either. Chris D'Elia's on the second season of that one now on Netflix.
Oh, did you hear Bill Burr is going to be in a new Star Wars show?
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it Netflix? Do you know, or Hulu?
No, it's on Disney Plus. It's
of course.
Called yeah. Fuck.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Music, okay, you can get into discovery and which one has better recommendations, etc. But on the music services, you can mainly find what you want. Unless you have really obscure taste, then maybe YouTube will be the one for you. But on any of the other ones, they're going to have most popular, music, even indie music. But on the video streaming apps, the content is so scattered.
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
You'll find like a random 25 movies on HBO, then you got to go check Hulu, then you go check Netflix, and then there's all the stuff you can buy that's not available for free. But you could make the mistake of spending $5.99 on a video to rent on Google Play, and you don't realize you have it on HBO for free. There's no easy way to check all that.
Like, not that it's bad that there's so much content out there, but look, I would honestly pay premium money to just have one streaming service that just gave me everything that I could choose from. Yeah. If I had to pay like 100 plus, I would totally do that. If I had access to everything on HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus,
even just a more varied version of what they have now, like 30, 40 a month, and it had triple the movies Netflix has, because they remove so many movies and churn out, old stuff to make room for new movies, and they want to renew contracts. They pay for the licenses on them.
That's why you'll see a lot of services like Netflix. They started off just, and they still do. They'll pay premium dollar for a lot of already produced content, a lot of like movies, like let's say, or shows like Friends and The Office, and a lot of big movies. But they do that to attract people. But what they really want to do is get the people on their original content, because that is so much like cheaper to produce and license out, because they don't have to deal with a lot of that shit. So they want to.
They're playing the game. They're spending the money up front to produce their own content, but they don't have to ever renew the license because they made it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Netflix is losing a ton of money right now, and
Yeah,
they
they're
have been for
investing
a
in
while.
themselves.
Yeah.
I think they.
It's like an Uber situation. Like Uber does that same thing.
I don't think Netflix is losing a lot of money, but they basically break even every time because they make a huge amount off their subscriptions, but they spend it all back on the company, on technology, and content.
So I mean, I feel like that's just something that you have to do as a business. You have to reinvest in yourself. But yeah, it's so frustrating how that new.
It's a good plan though, because content's king. I guess if you keep producing, not everything they make is great, or is gonna be great in the future. But if they throw 100 shows at the wall, maybe 15 of them will be really good, maybe more or less. But they do have some really good ones in there. Same with Hulu.
There's a ton of good content on there. It's just frustrating because not everyone is always looking for the next new show or the next new like thing to come out. A lot of people just want to watch like have like a catalog of like old movies from like their childhood, old movies that or shows that they want to watch again.
Well, I guess that's
And-
one good thing about these services is compared to regular TV is you don't really have to keep up with anything. Like, did you watch that show, that started every Thursday at 7? It's like you can just watch some murder documentary they put up there or some other random series just 3 years after they make it, just sitting there, in the library. You don't have to, like, buy it and actually commit to it. You can just decide one day, hey, I want to check that out. You skip over it 50 times, but one day it looks appealing.
Could you imagine if there was some sort of, and I don't know how this would work out. It probably wouldn't. Like lawyers, if
Lawyers always ruining all the fun stuff with copyrights and court stuff.
if there was some sort of way that maybe after a certain amount of time, I don't know how long that would be, anything that was like, let's say produced besides for like original content, well, let's say a streaming service like Netflix, if they could have access or just one big bank of all produced content, it is available for everyone to stream to it after 5 years of it being out in the realm. So if let's say like Netflix has their own original series or own movie that they make, they can keep it and still stream it, but after 5 years, they can still keep it, but it also gets put into this pool that like everyone can like pay some sort of fee. I don't know what that is. Tax dollars. I don't know if it gets that serious. It becomes some sort of like right people. Have access to shows or some sort of content like that, news. But after a certain amount of time, they'll have access to it. Just like people can go to like the library and get books. Library card. Some you got to pay for, right? But
Yeah,
I don't know.
a little bit. It's mainly free though.
All right. Well,
I think
but
it depends if it's in city and all that stuff.
a situation like this, you would have to pay for it because like that's still like people made that stuff. Like they have to get paid. So like I said, I don't know how that would work out, but in concept, that doesn't sound too bad to me.
I saw on the plane before this guy was watching some sort of AMC app. It was all the old movies, and he was watching like Casablanca or something like that.
Which was actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, that had me thinking that wouldn't be a bad service to pick up if it's pretty cheap, because there's a lot of good older movies I didn't really appreciate or check out when I was younger, because like, black and white movie, I want to watch action.
No,
But not, and you go back and watch those movies and they have really good acting in them.
look, honestly, I would almost I would say differently because there's a lot of acting. Like, yeah, there was some good acting like back then, but I feel like we're almost spoiled with how good everything is now. Everything's a lot more believable than it was back. Like you watch any old movie, especially like a black and white. Watch,
Oh, totally. They're
yeah,
cheesy, like a slight percentage in my head, but they're better stories. More entertaining in a lot of cases. I mean, the special effects don't keep up, but just the plots they have are more intriguing.
I feel like, and maybe a lot of the movies that we see, like these older movies, maybe ranging from Casablanca to like 80s movies, 90s movies, all older movies, there's a level of like, well, A, nostalgia, and B, we're usually only remembering the good ones. So with every Casablanca, maybe there was like 10, like shitty Blancas out there.
Oh,
And
totally.
yeah.
But if you
So it's like
look
that one is a
over-
great story, but that's why I
But
remember it.
if you look over like a 30, 40-year period, there's so many movies you can pick out that were good ones. You can just skip over all the shit.
Yeah, so it's hard. It seems like there's just a lot of remakes now, but I mean, people have been retelling stories for like all human history.
I think they've basically ran out of stories. Everything is a rehash or a new spin on some old story.
Dude, I mean, you could take that like all the way back to
Yeah.
like the fucking Bible. People have been telling the same stories like all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, people still make Noah movies and flood movies. That story's
Good
been going
example,
on for
yeah.
thousands of years. Yeah, they keep it going.
there's always a story about a mythical flood and everyone having to start from new. Like that's just a story that's been told for ages.
Or just any disaster movie like 2012, where it's basically like the Mayan end of the world. That's no different than them.
It's like, that was Noah's Ark. Like think about it. Like at the end, they were all in these ships just floating across the fucking like ocean. Like that.
Yeah.
How was that not Noah's Ark?
Yeah, definitely had some religious comparisons and imagery in there.
I mean, it was an entertaining movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I watched the shit out of it when we were in high school.
It's not even a religious thing because you can find that story all around the globe, in and out
that's
of
that's what I'm
religious
saying. Just like the
texts.
whole disaster
Yeah.
flood, type scenario.
Yeah, they've found variations of that story. I think like in 39 or more languages.
Oh yeah,
It was in Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock. How they found, variations, but all of the same basic plot of that story, of just in general that there was like gods walking around, whatever you want to think of them as,
that I wonder.
superhumans.
I wonder what people would really be talking about in those scenarios because
Or
think
the
about it.
stories where it would be like someone riding a serpent across a lake. Like, was the serpent a jet ski or was
Was
it
this dude-
actually a serpent?
Was this dude high on mushrooms?
Yeah.
Please give me the whole context
Yeah.
of like the situation.
Was he
But-
in front of some psychedelic bush that was burning? I need details.
But I mean, you have to still look at it with an eye of skepticism because, and at the same time, take yourself back to like let's say 39,000 years ago, when the way that someone would describe something back then would just be by nature a lot different than we would describe something now, because we have a lot. I feel like just people today have a lot more context on certain shit. Like, let's say you take someone who's in some sort of tribe like 30,000 years ago, they probably don't know what the fuck like life is like on the other side of the planet and probably never will. And I'm not saying that people really know now, but we have a lot more access to just the internet and globalization.
Well,
So-
things as simple as weather. People used to think that was the gods being angry or just some meaning to it, but now people just know it's just some cycle that goes on in the planet. It's always moving and weather shifts. People don't think, what did I do to piss God off for the most part if it starts storming?
I wonder, because there had to have been some people, like when people would talk about the weather's like going crazy, there had to have been
Yeah.
like one dude like do you believe this, like
Yeah.
are you sure?
What's funny though is
There'd be
people
one dude
still
questioning it.
People still use it the other way though. Whenever it's like really shitty out and it gets sunny, etc. If some events happening, they're like, "It got sunny just for this." It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
Maybe.
I'm
I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. Either way,
But
leaning on it just happened to be coincidence, but you never know.
Yeah, that would must have been, well, I guess relative to them, it probably seemed like normal as fuck. Oh yeah, the gods are happy today. Yeah, we have good crops. But to us looking back on it, yeah, it's gonna seem like
Can
weird
be a
as
good
fuck.
placebo pill. You're like, oh, God's feeling good today. I'm feeling good too.
It's like one of those things. It's like ignorance is like bliss. Like,
Yeah.
'cause I feel like the average person back then probably did not have as much shit as the average person does today. Like even like a kid, like let's say someone was like a farmer, like let's say a couple thousand years ago, they were probably just like, okay, well I got to worry about like my crops, I got to worry like just like obviously
Yeah.
that's hard work, you know. They have to worry about that, but take like anyone now, even like a kid in high school, I got to worry about these classes, I got to worry about graduating, I got to worry about like the neighborhood I'm in, I got to worry
Yeah.
about X, Y, and Z, and people working, I got to worry about, you know, this job, I got to worry about like my taxes, I got to worry about all this. So I would imagine, I guess, taking aside the fact that they have to deal with like diseases and probably weird religious shit and pillaging and all that other shit, take that out of the equation, even though it's probably a big part, the day to day life was probably easier to just manage. It's like I go do my
Yeah.
work, I chill with the family, you know, and
It's like kids, they I saw some joke on Instagram the other day, somewhere on social media, Twitter. There was like, why do kids close their pockets? They don't own shit. And it's like a good point. Like, we have to carry stuff around, wallets, phones, etc. But when you're a little kid, they don't have to worry about anything. And they fake doing work. They have like fake hammers and stuff when we actually have to do stuff throughout the day.
what kids are out there with fake hammers just nailing shit?
No, like the plastic stuff and like fake cooking utensils. Like they don't really have to like come home from work and cook. They can just fake cook while their parents make them dinner.
Well, think about it. When I remember when I was a kid, like with my siblings, we would play like when we were like really young, play like make dinners and you know take out the pots and pans and pretend like we're cooking and stuff. As a kid, because you want to like emulate like the elders around you, you want to emulate what your parents are doing. So you see them doing this, so you want to take out all the Tupperware and do all this shit. And as a kid, that seems oh yeah, that's fun, but as an adult, it's like fuck, like you guys like are playing doing that, but we actually have to cook and clean. You don't realize that we're doing all this shit like behind your back.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure it was a simpler way of life without so much to worry about.
Again, like if
I
you
don't
didn't
even
have to
know
worry
how
about,
we even got on this topic of simpler living times, but
I'm glad that we did.
yeah. You want to look at some of these articles?
Yeah. Let's see. What do you got?
Oh, this one was good. Facebook confirms millions of Instagram passwords were stored in plain text. And that is bad because that means anyone who worked there, to be clear, was only inside the company, but still, was able to just look at basically just a notepad document of every single person's password and account information. When in reality, that should be encrypted, where basically the user stores the password on the device, when they enter it, and it authenticates with the server, but the employees can't see it because they don't have credentials. I mean, there should be some way they can access the admin, like access to their account to do stuff, but they shouldn't be able to just read the password if they're working there.
Did the article say
It should be like a hash of it, some signature that can be used to decrypt it, but it shouldn't be just the actual password.
did the article mention that the Facebook employees had to have some sort of certain credentials to access it? Because I mean that would it's still
It doesn't say, but
I feel like they should because like let's say a ton of their employees just have access to it. Anyone gets pissed at someone, yeah, let me just go like look them up and just like I feel like that's I don't know, that's not right.
yeah, that's why it's not allowed for cops to, use the work tools to look up, personal addresses or check people's license plates or anything like, illegal
Yeah.
like that. Because then you just are harnessing the power of your tools, that's supposed to be used
For
to help
nefarious reasons, yeah.
Yeah. And as the article says, I mean, you should probably just delete your Facebook or, just keep the messenger part by deactivating it
Yeah.
because that will work. I found that out semi recently. If you deactivate your profile, you can still keep the messenger on to talk to people, but you don't have a profile anymore.
I feel. Well, I mean, I feel like that's still being stored somewhere. You
Oh,
know?
definitely. I'm just saying if you wanted to remove your presence. But yeah, you should change your password every once in a while. And as it says, enable two-factor authentication which is where it sends you a text message or you got to enter a code from the authenticator app, where you usually have like a QR code to scan to set it up. But that's good. I have a lot of my stuff on two-factor. That way you need a phone or some second means to verify that it's you getting on it. So that way, even if someone has your password, unless they have your phone and a way to get into it, they can't get on your account.
Right. So it's probably not a good thing that a lot of these people could have access to this potentially.
No. Yeah, you made the perfect analogy. I don't know, whoever brought it up about the cop stuff. You could just use it for bad.
Yeah, bad reasons, and that's like you said, that's a lot of power that these guys could have.
Yeah. You want to talk about this Lori was it Lawlin? This college.
Aunt Becky.
Yeah,
From
Aunt Becky.
from
Yeah, let's call her
Frosty.
Aunt Becky.
Aunt Becky.
No one calls her by her real name.
Oh.
Yeah, it's, I feel like this story's been beat to death. I don't really want to talk about it too much, but there is some update that her husband, Massimo, which is, yes, Massimo at Target, the clothing company, he lied about his own college education to get money. And the best part is the daughter revealed it 2 weeks before all this happened. So they have proof on audio. It was on some podcast where she's like, yeah, my dad didn't really go to college. He just lied and used the money to start a company.
Could you imagine how upset and frustrated he probably is? He's like, you idiot. Like, why? What would compel you? But we were saying before, look, if her parents are like have to pay for her to get into college, she's probably not the most like bright person to begin with.
Yeah.
So she probably didn't even see anything wrong with it. She's like, oh yeah, like who cares? It's just a thing people do. And it's like,
Living in a
no,
bubble.
you dumb bitch.
Yeah,
like that.
normal people don't do this.
Yeah, that's not a thing people do.
It seems to me that it's not really a big deal, especially because it's been so long and he started a successful company at all, that he took the money. It's just that it makes him look untrustworthy and silly in court because if he says otherwise, and they can pull out the tape of his daughter saying this.
Yeah. No, he's pretty much
Contempt of court or something.
Yeah. He's pretty much screwed. I mean, it still doesn't make it right, but I see why he did it. I mean, it obviously
I totally
worked out
made
for
up
him.
that charge, by the way. I know nothing about law.
Yeah, me neither. I mean,
Maybe I think you can only get contempt of court if you cause a ruckus in the courtroom.
it's not a bad thing for him. Obviously, I guess it worked out, but the main issue people have with that is by doing that, like paying in and not actually like earning your way into any of these schools, you're taking an opportunity away from someone else. And college is already expensive enough, and shit like that just inflates the cost. More students, more administration. So it just shines a light on an already glaring issue.
Yeah, I agree. It just opens up discussions about the whole thing. It's not necessarily about them.
Because that right there, that's just setting a bad precedent. Because right there, that this whole fiasco right here, why does someone have to have some sort of accreditation by some sort of college? Like someone
People
should.
screaming in the hallway.
That's basically saying like trade school is never an option for people, because that would look bad if, let's say, their daughter went to some fucking trade school.
Yeah, why is that so bad? What if she wanted to be a welder?
Yeah, or some sort of carpenter.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she just likes it.
But
obviously she isn't into that. She's into social media and promotion and Instagram influencing.
But just the fact that people would have to go to that length, that's so much money that, people were shelling out for their kids to be in these, colleges. That, I feel like that's a waste, because at that point, obviously the kid doesn't want to go there. They don't want to. They don't want to. Actually go through the process of going to school.
Yeah.
So why the fuck are you gonna force them?
Well, the daughter basically said it herself. She just went there for social experience.
The college. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
she's like, I really like school in one of her blogs.
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. As someone who actively was only going to school to learn something just so I could get a decent job,
Yeah.
I did not go there for social reasons at all.
Because people struggle to get a good education. Why would you not be surprised that people would get so fucking enraged over some idiots who can't get into the school, their parents paying a lot of money? That's can understand where a lot of people can get upset about that from, but yeah, just a shining light on a bigger issue.
Yeah, or I mean, just think if you tried super hard to get into a school and barely missed, and you did way better in school than her, but she got in because of all these donations, you'd be pretty pissed.
Oh, furious.
If you're trying to get into USC in some special program.
I think it would be impossible to probably match up, like this person didn't get in because this person got in. I feel like that would be really hard to do, but it's a thing that they'll say, yeah, we don't have enough space because this will add this much more administration if we add 15 students, but we'll let this one person slide.
Yeah.
So
that's how everything goes bad in life.
Yeah.
Things slide.
They didn't get through the cracks.
Yeah. It's one thing at a time and it builds up. What else should we look at? This license plate one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's really funny. This guy used a remote control license plate flipper to go through toll booths. So basically he'd drive through probably to work or wherever he was going. And he would always flip his plate over and just drive through with no transmitter. And he racked up 5,400 in missed fines, I guess. I don't know if that's just the tolls plus a charge or no, 5,400 in just tolls. So he drove through there a lot before they actually decided to try to trap him.
Did they say, I forgot, how long was the time that he was doing this for?
I don't know if it says the exact time.
Because that sounds like a lot of money for fucking a toll road. Think of that. Like one person could pay that much in tolls.
Oh shit.
Like think about it, because just imagine going to work every day. Obviously I know that you live pretty close, but let's say you live probably pretty far away from work and there was some sort of toll that you had to pay, I guess for maybe faster access or whatever the fuck reason that people say for toll roads.
A tollway or something.
So imagine spending that much money just on driving to work, on top of your car payment, on top of the maintenance on your vehicle, gas.
Well, it looked like it was about $1 to $1.70. So he was driving through there at least 3,500 times, 4,000 times to rack that much money up.
That has to be over some years though, because
yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, because what?
Unless this guy's a pizza delivery driver.
Yeah, and let's say he was, that would be even worse. Why are you going to charge this pizza delivery? Well, I guess that would be him for buying into it. But
yeah,
still, that'd be crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just because there's no toll roads in Michigan, so.
I'll be honest though. In cases like this, I feel like they should be pretty cool and be like, okay, it's been 2 years. You got us. Let's meet in the middle. You'll pay us $2,500. We'll call it cool.
That's usually what happens in situations like this.
There should be some sort of you got me proposal. Good one. Because it didn't hurt anyone and he tricked them. He exposed a flaw in their system.
I guess
so now they're going to be more aware of license plate flippers.
I guess that's where it depends on probably the judge. If there's a prosecutor involved, them.
This is in Texas,
how you act in court, everything.
Yeah.
So if you went in there like a dick and was in X, Y, and Z, they probably would be just pay the whole fine. But I don't know. That's a blatant attempt to just not pay the toll. You can have an issue with toll roads, but okay, he's obviously he's pulling a fast one, which I don't blame him.
Yeah, he tricked him.
Yeah, but
he finessed them.
He got.
Yeah, he finessed them, and then he got in the end.
Yeah, it worked for. I assume this had to have been for a while.
Yeah, this is in the Houston area. I love how we decide to get into an article about a guy who flips his license plate to avoid tolls when there's an article right there on the side about a guy accused of abducting his girlfriend
I feel
and
like
going
they,
on a run.
I feel like they really want us to watch that video.
Yeah, they keep trying to show it to us, but we'll move on. Oh, so I guess someone visited the Google headquarters with measles. I personally think this is some sort of bio attack by Microsoft or Apple. What
Could
do
you
think
imagine?
about this? Well, this just reinforces the fact that, people should be getting vaccinated for this. I was
Yeah.
going to get checked myself to make sure I have the final second round because I know at least
It
have
wears
one.
off. Like there are some like immunizations that almost expire, and it's like the booster shot, shit like that. Like
Yeah,
even
they,
like
they test you, and if your level's a little low, they give you a boost up
Yeah.
to match the right level. I think I might need to get one because there's been a outbreak in Michigan, and I think 20 states we saw on the map, mainly around the coast. It was like Texas, California, Arizona.
what exactly is measles? Do you know?
Some form of bumps and I don't know, very painful.
Here, just quickly look it up, because I mean I know it's not good.
Yeah, it's definitely not good. You don't want it.
Yeah.
You don't want to go out of your way to get it. Fever, dry cough, runny nose. Spreads easily, short term. Doesn't sound that bad, but it sounds shitty for the time you have it. I mean, bad in terms of killing you.
I feel like the main issue is something like that.
It's probably just having good medical care because we saw in the
Right.
Philippines there's like 380 people dead from an outbreak, but they might have had no vaccination at all.
Exactly, and just lack of access to good health care.
Well, I guess the high fever is no joke.
Yeah, no,
That's probably the main thing. You can die from
the high fever.
overheating,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's pretty scary. But
So it starts with spots in the back of the throat, then a rash. Oh, that looks gross. But yeah, I guess watch out for rashes and spots in your mouth.
does it affect younger people, like little kids, or older people? Like more than any other
I
group?
feel like almost everything does because
Yeah.
they're just weaker,
Yeah.
I used to wonder when I was a kid, I'm like, why am I more susceptible? I'm like, oh, wait, I'm just weak. I'm not even a full grown adult. And then when you're like 80, your body's just more frail compared to like a 40-year-old.
to everything, and that's what's scary. I mean, you can mitigate some of it, if you're older, just by kind of living healthier. But at the same time, father time catches up to everyone, and no matter what, like you're gonna end up being weak to something, and something's gonna snag you.
I'm going to challenge him at WrestleMania next year and just take him out for good.
I wonder
I'm
what.
sick of him trash talking.
Now, would that just stop time for you, or would that stop time for everyone? So, like, would I just age forever then at that point too? So, like, dude, you fucked it up for everyone.
I was hoping to gain control of time, kind of like a Thanos type situation with the glove when you can just stop time.
See, I'm gonna blow your mind. I still haven't seen any of the Avengers movies.
That's not very mind-blowing because in my head I'm basically set on, we talked about this recently on a podcast, we got into a lot of comic book stuff and Marvel movies, but I want to see Endgame, the new Avengers movie.
Is that coming out soon?
Yes, I think in May, and then I'm done. To be honest, I wasn't really feeling the Joaquin Phoenix Joker trailer, and I think I'm just gonna take a break from superheroes after the Endgame because it's like 3 hours long too. That's like a good finale.
Dude, as much as I love, a good example is with shows. As much as I love shows like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, I'm glad that they have an end, because you see the same thing
I
with.
feel like I'm glad Game of Thrones is ending. I love the show, but I don't want it to go
Because
on for 18 seasons.
you don't want it to drag on like The Walking Dead or Lost or any of
I jumped off The Walking Dead early. Some of those
Yeah.
shows, they just start like repeating the same themes.
they've run out of ideas.
Yeah, and they come up with bullshit stuff. You're like, wait, what?
And look, it's the same. Most superhero movies have like the same, like story. It's like, yeah, either things are going good and they're shitty, and then they have to overcome something, and then
It always starts out with them
yeah.
like laughing, having like a drink in like the Tower of Avengers or someone's house in the kitchen, and then there's some like guy who's actively like driving a spaceship towards Earth, and then it all ends up coming together.
But it makes sense for like comic books, I think, because it's just comic books. I mean, that's a very good source of entertainment for a lot of people. But in terms of like movies and stuff, I feel like that's just too much to put out there because not saying like we were saying earlier in the podcast, not saying that a lot of content is bad, but it loses its value with the more out there. Like
I was about to say,
the more
doesn't it
Star Wars
kinda-
movies, shit like that.
Doesn't it
Perfect
kind of
example.
seem like an end of an era to you? Like they started off with the first Iron Man, and like the Spider-Man 1 was kind of shit back with Tobey Maguire, but it's still nostalgic to me.
See, it doesn't. It almost doesn't to me because it doesn't.
I'm just
There's-
saying, like we
there's
had so
nothing to
many
me-
good ones. They covered it all.
Or-
You know what I'm saying? They had Ant-Man, Aquaman's out now. They had all Superman movies, Batman. We had all the Avengers. Like they covered it.
I really hope. Yeah. So I guess overall, not just Marvel movies, just superhero movies in general.
Yeah, like it's over.
I really hope
me, it's
that.
over.
Well, it's been over for me for a minute.
But I gotta
But,
see
yeah.
the end of it because I know Thanos is gonna come back. Spoiler, sorry.
I didn't know he was even gone. Yeah.
Yeah,
So like I would say that.
I guess I spoiled. There's no new villain yet that I know of.
Oh, I figured. Yeah. But. I really hope, just like everything like comes in waves. Just like
Yeah.
there were a horror movie phase with people, and then like now a superhero. I wonder what's going to come next after that.
Yeah, it's just like it was one of my favorite subgenres of movie because it is basically like an action adventure type movie, but it's thrown in with the the comic book character aspect of it. But I'm not hugely into it. Like I'm sure there's people who camp out, they dress up, they have all the
yeah.
actual
people
comic
people
books.
people love all that shit.
Yeah, for me, it's like a light interest. Like if I go to watch a movie and I see there's a new Thor movie, I might check it out. But I'm not, really into the Marvel and DC stuff like some people are, which is cool. I just have different interests.
The same thing is
I watch more car stuff than I do comic book stuff, for example, or even, just movies.
the same thing is happening with Star Wars. They've said that they're going to put a hold on Star Wars movies for a minute. So like I don't mind like the Mandalorian. That's what that new show with Bill Burr is good. I don't think he's like the star or anything, but he's in it. Like
I'll have to check it out just because it's Bill Burr.
Gina Carano's in it too. There's a couple other people,
Okay.
random cast, but shit like that's cool. Video games, great, but the movies, it was great when there were 6, and then 7, 8, 9. But then there's all these sub movies, which they could be great movies in themselves, but just the fact that there's just more of them,
It dilutes it.
yeah. Because with like the games and like the books and all that shit, it seemed like while it was all part of the same thing, it seemed separate enough to still make the movies really special because it was like its own like subsect of a bigger universe.
There's just so much stuff out there that for me, I just for a while, I'll get really into a show, but then I want it to end like we talked about because I want to
Yeah.
move on to something else. So I might watch, some new movie, but then I might go watch a bunch of different YouTube documentaries or YouTube shows, compared to just like rewatching some old movie. I like to switch up the new content, keep it moving. Switch between a podcast. I'll watch that, and then the next night I might watch one episode of a Netflix show.
My favorites are I've probably mentioned them to you before, but if anyone is listening, they should check it out too. It's called Biographics on YouTube. It's this channel. They've got a whole bunch of like these 20-minute ish biographies about all these historical figures, and dude, I love spending like a lot of time watching those. Like that's content that I like that I like to get into.
If you like car stuff, I like Jay Leno's Garage.
I've heard that yeah, if you like cars like that, that's good too.
Yeah, it's on TV too, on some channel, maybe NBC, but most
Too many
of them,
channels.
Yeah, just go on YouTube though; they're free. The audios are really low on Jay Leno's Garage though. I always have to turn up the audio like double the volume of everything else. Something about it's just really quiet.
See, just shit like that. It would be so easy if everyone just could like to say, yeah, go to the Cube and watch that video. If there was just one place they could access everything.
Go to the Cube.
Yeah, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Go
Yeah.
to the Cube. The
Hey man, get on the Cube. We're all watching the show.
who knows? Like there's always some weird name for shit. Oh, the
Get on-
fucking iPod. Like, what the fuck is that?
It's like a social network. Like, hey guys, get on Cube. We're watching New Girl.
Hey, watch. Who knows? There's going to be like the Triangle coming out soon.
Yeah.
I'm just ahead of the curve.
Some people may remember that there was a time on the Xbox 360 when you could go on the Netflix app and you could invite people to watch a show.
Oh, I missed that
Yeah.
shit.
Show or movie, anything on the library, and you'd sit there with your little avatar characters and you could like make them do stuff, and you could chat with each other during the movie.
It felt like you were there. It was cool as fuck. Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. It was way before VR and all that. Like, you weren't like actually turning your head. You were just watching a movie, and at the bottom your characters were kind of, the movie took up, or whatever you're watching, 75% of the screen.
You could make it full screen if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could just switch between the real view and the avatar view. But either way, it was cool just chatting with people because the show or movie was completely synced. So you guys could just start, a horror movie and watch it.
I
Like
remember,
5-6 people.
I remember doing that with friends back in high school.
Yeah, that was a high school thing for me too.
Why did they not like
I think
incorporate
there was-
that feature? Like that's such a great feature. Like why would they take that away?
I think they threw it out there, and then there were some issues with copyrights, like how much they were paying for the content because multiple people were viewing it. I don't know.
But the people had to already have access to Netflix and Xbox Live to begin with. So I never understood that issue.
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's people online who have dug into the issue if you look it up. But
That was always a bummer, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest random features they put out on a device that they pulled.
You really brought that back up. Yeah, that was a one that I really liked. But
Yeah, I remember watching like Jason 2000 or whatever, one of those horror movies on there with like 2 or 3 people. It was pretty funny.
yeah, because it was almost
Good
like
experience. I'm
yeah.
sure we could do something with like VR nowadays if you had the setup.
That would be, I feel,
And
an even better situation, because if you had on the VR, you could just look around and see them virtually next to you. That'd be really cool.
I wonder, I'm sure, just because there's so many people out there, someone's going to make some kind of VR game where you can watch a movie with people, but then you could just like take out the other people, just like throw your soda at their head and knock them out, then they can't watch the movie.
I would
Something
I,
stupid like that.
I would not put that past anyone to
like
make
throw a
that.
samurai sword at the guy in the front row and his screen goes black.
I would 100%. I would use that all the time.
Yeah,
Could you
It'd be
imagine?
pretty funny.
Could you imagine like watching a new episode of Game of Thrones and someone throws a fucking samurai sword at you and you can't
Yeah.
see some sort of crazy thing happen? Oh my god! Well, that'd be a funny feature.
That would be really funny.
To some people probably might get pissed. I don't know.
Hey man, I was watching that. There's always people who don't find the humor in things. That's fine though. Different senses of humor.
Yeah.
I guess some people just have none. That's always the worst.
It's sad. It's sad to me. 'Cause,
Yeah, it's always just sad to me.
You can't take everything so seriously.
I'm sure some people have that reaction of like, oh dang, like, this person doesn't like me. I just think like, wow, I feel bad. This person never laughs at anything.
I mean, there's a difference between like being a dick in a situation, and trying to have some lighthearted fun.
Right.
But if you're always looking at everything as just a negative, you're only going to see negative.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, you have to look at positive, so you'll see the positive. If you only try to look for the fucking negatives and shit, you're only going to see negative. I feel that's a terrible way to live.
Right, everyone complains about some things for the most part, but the bad is when it's just everything. It's every little thing. Like, damn it, I ran out of milk, or like, the traffic sucks today, or I gotta wake up. If it's everything's a negative, you're just gonna lose your mind.
No.
You gotta mix in positives. Like, I can't wait to do this weekend. Can't wait to get home and see my dog or cat, my kids. If you have nothing to look forward to and everything's a negative, that's not sustainable. You're just gonna lose your mind.
No, that's something I try to live by, like, every
Yeah.
day. It's obviously hard some days.
I always
but
try to set 1 or 2 positive things in the next 24 hours I'm looking forward to. Even as simple as eating. If there's a meal I'm looking forward to, or just seeing Kiki,
like,
who is currently trying to sabotage the podcast.
one thing that I found out about my cat, well, I guess just cats in general, that sound that some people make to get him to come near, like that, like come here sound?
Yeah.
That,
You do
kinda-
it well. You have a crisp
that kind of triggers some sort of,
Kiki.
like instinct in
Yeah.
cats, because they think it's like a dying animal. So they
Yeah.
want to go and, like, like they're attack it and kill it. I thought that was interesting because Popel, like every time I do it, he's always like rushing to come because he thinks I'm gonna give him a fucking treat.
Yeah, it's just it's classical conditioning. If you always make a certain sound, anything, like if you always turned on the faucet and then gave your dog a treat, eventually you turn on the faucet, the dog's gonna run up and want a treat. What are you doing?
Yeah. Kiki's over here trying to eat stuff.
Yeah, what the heck? She's eating power cords. Right in
Yeah,
front of me.
right in front of yeah. She's getting bold.
Yeah, what the heck?
She's like, you're not gonna do shit about this.
Yeah, damn. My cat's straight thugging. She's walking around just destroying stuff in front of us.
Yeah, she gets no fucks anymore.
Yeah. Well, on that, should we wrap this up?
Yeah, she's giving us the nod.
Yeah. My cat says it's over. See you next week.
Thanks
Stay
for listening.
safe. Follow us on Twitter for articles and whatever else we retweet, post.
TCOC podcast on Twitter.
Country dog won't lie in the city when we are